change makers. If you didn't already know, there's like an election happening like next month, and we kind of have to make decisions on who to vote for, because I don't know about you, I've kind of lost faith in the system and I really want to see some positive changes made, especially towards the environment. So if you're like me and really overwhelmed and don't know who to vote for and unsure who to support, I'm going to break it down for you from an environmental perspective of which parties are promising to deliver what. Because at the end of the day, we need to support these decisions and they're going to hopefully help to make a better world. Because we want somebody in power that will actually make it happen rather than just talk about it. That's the other thing too. But let's just break it down and see what each party is promising. Let's go. For the comparison, I've decided I'm going to look at the three major parties, the Greens, the ALP and the LNP. But there are other candidates out there. There are independents, so I always recommend looking them up on Google and seeing if you can find their policies and what they stand for, because it's really good at their values line with yours and interests and all that. It's very important. I did look at the United Nation Party and Palmer's Party. Basically, United want to get rid of the Paris Agreement and the target emissions. And Palmer doesn't really say, he doesn't really believe in all that stuff. He's more focused on economy, infrastructure and all that, which is fine, but that's why I'm just going to focus on those three. So let's have a look at what those three have to say. There is so much I can cover and compare, etc. So I'm just going to stick to three or four topics and just see what each have to say in that regard. So the first one with the environment, we always talk about it as climate change real, etc. Let's just not even talk about that. Basically, we do have excess emissions and we are using through resources like anything, and we need to be more renewable, etc. So with the Paris Agreement, there was a target to say that we're going to reduce so much emissions by 2030. 2030? I just had a freak out because that's like soon. But basically this is what each party has said that they want to achieve. ALP, they'd say they want to do at least 45% by 2030, which is slightly higher than the rest. But at the end of the day, how are they going to achieve it? Are they actually going to achieve it? That's the other thing too. It's nice and all saying, oh, we're going to achieve so much more, but what are your policies? What's your plan? What's your structure, etc.? As you can see by the Greens, they are an environmental focused party, therefore they're going to say we're going to try to achieve the most, even more. And then with the net emissions, obviously ALP and the Greens have said yes, we want to do net emissions, whereas the LNP have signed the agreement and therefore they have to do it. In regards to renewables, this is rather interesting. So this ties in with coal and things like that. I know people are very anti-coal, etc., but there needs to be a succession plan. You can't just cut one off and then go on to the next. So with the three parties here, Greens obviously are like, yes, we're going to go 100% renewable. We have a plan, we have a strategy. We're going to invest so much funds into this and we're going to make it happen. ALP were like, let's do 50%. They haven't said they want to phase out coal. They don't have any plans to phase it out, but they recognize it. They recognize that coal isn't the way to go, so they're going to try to look at different ways of doing things like that. And then the LNP are saying that they want to do at least 23.5% renewables by 2020, which is like this year. So whether that has been achieved is another thing. And they want to do a small scale renewable. So there's no real major plans, future focus saying that they will. And they're saying no to phasing out coal. They're saying no, we need it, invest different projects and things like that. It's really important to Northern Australia and Queensland, so they're not going to do that. With the other, I suppose, agriculture is my interest, because, you know, how can we reduce net emissions with agriculture while increasing food production for the billions of mouths to feed? So the LNP has said that they have a climate solution fund aimed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and this means giving farmers support, rejuvenated degraded land, water quality, etc. This report was done in 2019 and I have not seen or heard much from that. We are doing soil testing and different things like that, but I have not seen much implemented. The ALP want to reduce pollution and keep growing the carbon farming initiative, which was really difficult because not many growers took it up because it wasn't easy to take up. So that will be interesting to see. And then the Greens are like, no, we're going to abolish the emission reduction fund, and we're going to look at re-establishing the carbon farming initiative, and farmers and land managers will be able to support to protect their land and grow the capacity to land to draw down carbon. So that's interesting. And I'm just ranting, and this is probably not very interesting at all, but we'll move on to some other areas and stats and have a look at that. I just want to say, yes, I was ranting on. I'll leave some links in some news articles you can read and learn more and make your own opinions and develop your own ideas on who you want to vote for, etc. The other thing to keep in mind is too, with especially with the Greens, even though they're very environmentally focused, if they were to get in power, because they're a minority, I think that's what you call it, they wouldn't really have enough members to form a proper party like the LNP and ALP to actually have a difference. So that's interesting, like you can vote them in, but whether they have some significant voice and impact would be another thing. I could be completely wrong, but I suspect they'd be just a drop in the ocean, and whether that would, their opinions and their policies would get forward is another thing. And it's really good to be focused about the environment, but also we need a balance. We need to make sure that we have infrastructure, we can create a better economy with jobs, etc. So it's not just always focusing about the environment, but it's being considerate and thinking of everything that you do. How can we reduce our impact? Can we make it a bit better? So like if you're doing steel manufacturing, make sure that you're recycling the steel that doesn't get used anymore. It's things like that. It's implementing small environmental differences in each aspect of our industries, really. But anyway, I hope you found this somewhat helpful. It didn't go quite as planned, but hopefully that it gives you a bit more insight and a bit more understanding of how things and what people are doing and their ideas, etc. And good luck voting, I suppose, and don't forget to vote, because voting is very important. So see ya!